Welcome to the Troy Kearns podcast. We talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship. Today, I've got a very special dynamite woman, Megan Duma, an attorney, a mother, a real estate investor, a real estate agent, and an awesome person who is super knowledgeable about all things law, tax credits, Airbnb, and just a dynamite person. We met through a mutual friend, Andrea Wardell, and we ended up putting our kids to school in a school together, and I ended up moving out here to Kansas City. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that dynamite intro, Troy.
Well,
I don't really know, I kind of feel embarrassed or don't know what to do with it.
No, you know what to do with it. You're very deserving. There's very few people that I'm impressed with on a regular. Anytime I talk with Megan, my mind's blown. She comes from a long history of lawyers.
Yep.
And you are born and bred in Kansas City.
Yep, I'm a Kansas City, Kansas native. Why not? The dot is hot, for those of you who don't know.
Okay.
And my dad and my brother are criminal attorneys, and I'm incredibly proud of them. They literally save people's lives every day. So I take the easy road and do real estate law. I'm really passionate about it. I kind of geek out on certain things, but and I hope we get to talk about some of those things today. I was telling you about the email,
Awesome.
The email contracts, the text contracts.
Right.
Can you get them? What happens? So
Right.
I want to talk about that today. But yeah, I started doing white collar criminal defense in 2007. I worked for the world's biggest law firm, what got bought by Denton's, the world's biggest law firm. And that corporate life just wasn't for me. I had to be my own boss.
Yeah, I see that.
And I love to work hard, and I do work hard, but I have a hard time working hard for somebody else.
Right.
I feel like any human being probably has that same problem. That's why I think like the hourly pay and the hourly job is just a kind of a soul-sucking thing for most people.
Right.
I would so much rather see jobs where people are motivated by goals. Like
Right.
I can't tell you I'll work 40 hours a week, but I can promise you that I will get done these 10 things, and I might work 80 hours that week, but I'm going to get this done. And I might work 20 if I'm efficient.
Right.
So that became really clear for me pretty early on. And then the real estate journey kind of took hold in 2015. And it was kind of like you. Like I was living in San Diego, California.
Right.
And
you kind of look like a California girl, too, a little bit.
Thanks. That's an insult at this point.
No, I didn't mean it as an insult.
No, I mean just because I'm not Californian. I'm Kansan.
You're Kansan.
Yes. But I was living in San Diego, and the Royals had won the Super Bowl in 2015.
The Royals won the
Wow! The Royals had won the World Series. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I didn't even see that.
God, I know. Lo siento. I'm sorry. Okay, the Royals had won the World Series. And I remember saying to my partner then, I was like, okay, so there's this area in Kansas City that's called Midtown.
Right.
And it's stuck between the Country Club Plaza and a bunch of really nice houses south of there and downtown. And downtown just had this huge, come back to life, Renaissance type thing happening, Power and Lights, where we're sitting right now.
Right in the heart of it.
Right in the heart of it. And I said, these houses are like awesome. And they're like $85,000.
Right.
Let's go buy some. And then that started just to snowball. And then within like 2 years, 3 years, they had doubled, tripled in value. So I'm like, oh, okay, that was easy.
That's all you do.
It's all you do. No, but it was kind of foreseeing something.
Right.
Like this year, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be Super Bowl champions.
That's 100% true.
They are going to be Super Bowl champions. And
This weekend.
And we're going to have, that's why we're red.
Awesome.
Yeah, but you got to kind of look at these trends. We're going to have, again, the world's eyes on Kansas City. We have the World Cup coming here. Although there's a dip in real estate right now, I don't see it for Kansas City because we're still undervalued.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned all of that, especially about the Royals going to the Super Bowl.
It won't be the last dumb thing I say. I promise you that.
No, you being from Kansas, Wyandotte County, me not knowing anything about Kansas City. In fact, anything until I started buying real estate here, other than, this is extremely undervalued.
Totally.
And so you lived in San Diego for a while. Home is home, and you felt like you needed to come back.
Yeah.
You started buying properties in 2015. But prior to that, what were you doing?
So prior to that, I was working as basically an internet marketer doing affiliate marketing, and our product was how to survive a financial catastrophe. And that was teaching people about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, actual gold and silver, places around the world where you can actually buy and store tangible gold and silver as opposed to ETFs. So I kind of got a little bit of a financial education through what we learned and what we sold for those years. And we were living in the Caribbean and Australia and Bali and all these fun places.
Sounds like a good lifestyle.
Yeah, we were being nomads. The weird thing about that was you always think like, oh my God, when I get to quit my job or when I get to quit working. I quit my job at a law firm, and within 2 months, I was bored to death and miserable.
Really?
I love working.
Right.
I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah.
And if I don't have something to get up for on Monday morning, man, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Most people are like, oh, I got the Sunday blues. Hell no. I'm like, Sunday, we got the Chiefs win. Monday morning, we get to kick ass and start taking names.
Right.
And that's what I live for. And I learned that about myself, which was really important.
Where do you get that from?
I mean, I would say Midwest hard work ethic. And I think everybody has that. I mean, I don't think I'm
Really?
unique. I do. They may not know what it is that that motivates them to wake up and get excited.
Right.
But I think that everybody does have that. And if you see people that are suffering from anxiety and depression and things like that, they feel stuck in a rut. And how many people tell themselves, I can't because my house payment's too much. I can't because.
Right.
I can't because is bullshit.
Right.
It's complete bullshit. You can.
Yeah.
You just have to. The pain has to be high enough for you to break that habit.
Some people have a hell of a threshold.
They do. They'd rather stay miserable for their entire lives
Right.
than risk something. And I love putting myself in the position of what is the worst thing that can happen.
Right.
And for me, I'm lucky. I have a huge family. I'm a huge family person. Like the worst that could happen is I go move in with my mom and dad with all the kids for, until I can get my feet back under me, which would probably be about a month.
So I wanted to interrupt you in this podcast and just take a quick moment to tell you two things. Number one, we do this for free for you. I haven't made a nickel on social media at all. I'm doing this to provide you enough value, so all I'm asking for you to do is share it and give us a 5-star review. It'll totally help us out, and I really appreciate it. The other thing, if you want more free resources, like our free Facebook group, it's Millionaire Mentorship Real Estate Investing on Facebook. All you gotta do is join it. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and there's lots of resources there, and we'll definitely give you those for free, no charge. Here's the other thing. If you're serious about investing in real estate and you're ready to take action, I have a program. No matter where you're at in your real estate journey, I can help you out. I don't care if you've got 5 houses, 10 houses, no houses, 100 houses. I've got something that I can share with you that's going to make you a lot of money. And if you want to become financially free and you're brand new to real estate investing, this is the absolute thing you want to do. And here's the thing. What I've learned from most of my students right now is that it's not just an investing program. It's a mindset program. We're going to change the way you think about money. If you want to start investing, make sure you schedule a call with me and my team, and let's get the ball rolling. Guess what else? If you are like, man, I don't got the time and I make tons of money, I just enjoy listening to what you're gonna say, that's cool too. We actually have set up a fund where you can invest with us, but you gotta be an accredited investor. If you wanna find out what that looks like, all you gotta do is click the link in my bio, fill out the form, it takes you about 2 seconds, and then we'll let you know about the deals that we're doing. We're doing big deals in Kansas City. And this year, I think we'll do 2 huge deals in Kansas City. I'm looking at a few right now, and I want you to be a part of it. And if you've got more money than time, then that's what you should do. If you got more time than money, then schedule a call with me and my team, and we'll get you into our coaching program so that you can have more money than time. And you I feel like I'm part of your family for some strange, like the odd cousin, you know what I mean? Like, because like we opened up a mini school during COVID, and that was like us just talking as entrepreneurs, like our kids are going to school. We're not going to do this Zoom learning. We're not going to do this put your face mask on and go look at a computer for 12 hours a day.
No, not at 6 and 5 years old. That was crazy.
And so we went, and you set up shop at your house, and we found a teacher, Miss Anne Marie, and we got that thing rolling. But when you talk about prior to that and you doing the digital thing as a digital nomad, the reason I asked the question was you're a pretty successful cryptocurrency investor, and I am not a crypto guy.
I wouldn't say I'm a cryptocurrency investor, because I think when you talk about like investors, you think more of like traders and things like that.
Right.
This was something where we see a problem with our financial system, with our currency, with the Federal Reserve printing money. I mean, again, looking at what's going on, I saw inflation coming the second COVID hit. I'm like, oh crap, we're going to print a ton of money to bail people out, because there's no scapegoat here. I mean, there is, but that's a whole other topic for another time.
Who is it?
Oh, don't start.
Can I?
No.
Please?
Not today.
Okay, all right.
So basically, since there was no scapegoat, they were going to bail everybody out. So of course we were going to see the inflation that we're seeing, and eventually we will see people lose faith in the dollar. So I still am a huge believer in cryptocurrency, because the writing's on the wall.
Right. You did substantially well. I think we talked before, and this is why I brought it up again. You said you lost crypto or had some stolen.
Yeah.
And if it was at its highest value, it would have been worth like $32 million or something.
I think more than that, but yeah, it was 1,400 coins, and a coin today is worth.
This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, 23,000. It was 1,400 coins that we lost, so 1,400 times 23,000. I'm terrible at math.
Well, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was gonna. Impress you with my math skills, and I just realized that was,
That's too much. It's too high.
Yeah, I think it's like 23 million, or
23 times.
It's over 23 million.
It'd be 35, right?
Well, let's just, Danny, you got my calculator?
Yeah,
what
can we get
32 million.
It was 32 million. Okay,
32
well, look
million.
at you. You got it right from the start.
Yeah, 32 million.
Now that's today. Now Bitcoin was at 60,000 last time I sold some. So
that would have been 60 something million, 70 something million bucks.
Yeah.
So when you look back and think about that, how does that make you feel?
I'm really ambivalent about it. Okay, so my ex-husband, and we were together at the time, he was really devastated. And at the time, it was only $300,000. It was only $300,000.
Still a lot of money.
Because it was 2014, I think. And he was like, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did this. And he had another account that had less in it, but still enough. And he was like, I was like, you know what? Like, that's not the point. Again, going back to believing in yourself.
Right.
Like, it's not, if you win the lottery and you lottery is like the biggest curse to some people.
Right.
If you win the lottery, you're going to blow through that and be stupid and make bad choices and be bankrupt like that. Now, I knew him and I knew me, and I wasn't worried. I knew we'd be rich. That's going to give us a reason to go make more money.
Right.
And another thing that continues, my dad says this all the time, and it's so true. It's the obstacle is the way.
Right.
Like, the obstacle is the way. And any time in real estate, like with this building, I'm sure you have a billion obstacles to overcome. But
Just
that's
a few.
That's the way, right?
Slightly unoccupied.
You could use some
Heating
tenants.
bill was $17,000 last month.
No way. It is hot in here, actually. So
No,
take my
but
jacket off.
that wasn't because of the heating bill. That's just because of the lights. Yeah, I was like, whoa. I was like, I got the heating bill. I was like, that's just the energy bill. I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of money.
But you understand that, like, okay, that's a problem I have to solve, and I've got to get on it. And real estate.
We tried to solve it. I told Danny to turn the heat down, and then we were all cold.
That's funny. But yeah, real estate, so everything that I love, real estate, litigation, exploring myself and my own psychology and getting better, those things all present obstacles all the time. And I know that that's the way to happiness is to pursue them and look at them as challenges.
So let's go into your newest project, which is a historical tax credit renovation, and break it down. Who people who are listening to this, they may not know, like, if you're not in Kansas City, maybe you're in Las Vegas, maybe you're in California, they don't have a lot of historical tax credits, but all throughout the country, New Orleans, we did this, other cities, Cincinnati, Ohio, a lot of these Midwestern towns have a tremendous opportunity for people who want to renovate properties. They can be big, they can be small, they can be whatever, and they can get at least 25% from the federal government, right? That's the number?
It's 20% from the federal government.
20% from the federal government, 25% from the state government.
Yes.
They can get that money for free as long as they do what?
Okay, so the first step is your property historic?
Right.
Now that's the question. It has to be historic either for an architectural reason. Wow, it's a Queen Anne Victorian, or like this building, it has, the plaster work on the outside is really remarkable. Things like that.
National Registry will get you there too, right?
Yes, but I'm saying In order even to get on the National Registry, you have to be architecturally
Copy.
significant. So our goal is to get on the registry or be in a historically significant district, again, where we add to the historic nature of it.
Right.
And that can be via architecture, or it can be via something that happened that's historically significant.
Okay.
So for example, like Harry Truman's house, or that type of thing. It might not be architecture.
Tom Pendergast.
Exactly. It might not be architecturally significant, but if something big happened there, then we can maybe ask to get on the register. So
White House.
Sure. Something big happened there? Not recently.
No.
So anyways, once you're on the register, or your neighborhood is, the next step is to basically...
So real quick, to back up, you have to be on the register to get the tax credits.
Or you have to be a contributing factor to a historic district.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Then you tell the national parks people what you want to do with your project.
Right.
And so you have to have a lot of photos of what it looks like now.
Right.
You got to have architectural renderings of what you want to do if it's required.
Right.
And you have to improve the property 100% minus the land value.
Okay, so break that down to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
Okay, your property costs $10.
Right.
Okay. The land is worth $5.
Okay.
So you take the land away. How much do you have?
5.
So that's how much you have to spend.
So you got to spend $5. Okay, so for example, this building, I paid $5.2 for it. Mm-hmm. Let's say the land is worth $500,000.
Mm-hmm. So you take that out. So what are we at?
4.7.
4.7. So you'd have to spend 4.7 renovating this property.
Okay, good to know. I'm sure that will be pretty easy on a property like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you spend that, how much money will you get back in a tax credit?
Sure. So now there's state tax credits and there's federal tax credits. The federal tax credits we can all use because that means you don't ever have to pay tax. Like I still have, from a project I did in 2017, like $275,000 in tax credits.
Right.
So whenever I make a lot of money and I get this tax bill, I don't have to actually pull dollars out of my pocket and send it in to Uncle Sam. I just say, oh, look, you can just take it off my tax credits that I have. And he says, oh, Miss Duma, thank you so much. And I say, there you go, Uncle Sam.
You guys have got a good relationship.
No, we don't. I legally avoid him regularly.
Right.
Yes.
As everybody should.
It's our moral obligation, actually.
It is, 100%.
So that's the federal. Usually use your own federal. There is a way to sell your federal, but you have to set it up in a kind of a convoluted legal structure that's probably beyond this conversation.
Right.
Now the state ones are a lot easier. They're very transferable, and there are banks like Commerce Bank that buys those credits from you. Now we're talking 25%. So again, we go back to our $5. 25%. One of those dollars, right? Was that 20%?
$1.25.
$1.25. Thank you. Terrible math. The $1.25 is going to get sold to Commerce Bank for 92 cents on the dollar.
Right, which would be?
About $1.15? I don't know. Somewhere around there.
I have no idea.
So you're getting that money in cash back in your pocket.
Right.
And that's pretty sweet.
Right, so that's what we call tax increment financing.
Well, no, tax increment financing is when you actually ask for financing, ask for a loan based on the fact that you're going to get that money.
Got it. Right. Okay, so I'm going to get this money. I'm selling all these tax credits for $6 million. Therefore, you should lend me the money based on X. Or I'm getting this other money from them waiving all my taxes, and you should lend me the money for X.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's tax increment financing. So the project that I'm working on, I do this. I don't take partners. I just do this for myself. And
I'm out.
Well, it's also because this building would overwhelm me, and I love historic properties so much, especially here in Kansas City. It's a huge passion of mine. The architectural details, the history, you can almost feel the people's lives that lived there. It gives me goosebumps every time I work in these old houses.
You know, the last 2 stories of this building were never renovated.
What?
Floor 11 and 10 were never built out.
You're kidding.
No.
I want to see them after this.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. They were just never built out at all?
Yeah, so floor 11 was arguably probably just storage, but floor 10 was going to be an office building. It was never built out, or was going to be a department store building. It was never built out. It's got like the restrooms, and then it's just nothing else.
Okay, well, penthouse coming your way, right?
100%.
Absolutely, can't wait.
Yeah.
So this property that I'm doing is a 6,000 square foot Queen Anne Victorian. It's by the Kansas City Museum, and I've already done all the steps. So
right.
I submitted it was already a contributing architectural factor to the Scarrett residence, which is the historic district that it's a part of. And then I got my plans and all my photos and everything. And so it's with the Department of Parks or whatever right now getting looked at. And so when that gets approved, I start spending money.
Awesome. Now, what can you include in that money that you spend?
So
this is where I learned last time. I kind of know the answer, but I want to relearn it. You said
it's easier to say what you can't.
Okay. What can't you?
Cabinets, appliances, anything that's not in the footprint of the home.
Okay.
So you can't do landscaping, for example. You can't do. If you want to put a pool in, you can't do that. You want to put in a new structure, like a garage wasn't a part of the original home. You can't do that. You can't collect on that.
What about if I hired an attorney to do the stuff for me? Could I include that in part of the renovation development cost?
Oh, okay. So here's the beautiful part of that. Not only an attorney, you are the owner of the property,
right?
But you're also the developer.
I am.
So you get to charge yourself 15% of the entire project.
Okay.
And so then you get 45% back of that 15% on the entire project.
But let's slow that down and go backwards.
Yeah.
Let's take the $100,000 as an example of the cost of the 45%, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm the developer. I get $15,000 of that.
You pay yourself $15,000.
I pay myself $15,000.
And that is what's called a soft cost, and those count.
Right.
And so then you get your 45% back on that $15,000.
Okay.
So now we're at what, $7,000?
Right.
Yeah, that you get for free.
Wow.
So what else can you do to serve yourself? You have to be careful about being your own GC. But if you have somebody that, like your wife, or if you guys weren't married, something like that,
right.
Then they can be your GC as well. And as a GC, any reasonable GC is allowed to charge 20% on every sub.
Right.
So let's say your paint costs in our $100,000 thing. Let's say your exterior and interior paint costs $20,000. Now your wife gets that as a sub bid, a subcontractor bid, adds her 20% to it, and then you guys make all that money back.
Interesting. So it's about knowing how to apply the rules of real estate. And quite frankly, it's one of those things that, as somebody who's been investing in real estate for a long time, I'm constantly learning, and that's why I love real estate. There's so many ways to skin a cat. People are like, oh, what do I do here? What do I do this way? The only thing that obviously is technical with historical tax credits, I think for everybody, is that initial application and putting things together and the pieces and everything like that. But once you figure it out, for you, it's sounds like it's kind of a high, right?
Well, I know I hired that out. So
you did?
Oh yeah.
Who'd you have do it?
I hired that out. Kelsey is her name, and I'm happy to share her contact with everybody. A lot of people in Kansas City use Rosen Preservation.
Yeah.
I found them not to be very good advocates for me.
Yeah.
They do a lot of big stuff, and I'm not saying they might be great for some people. For me personally,
yeah, I didn't want to use them.
I like Kelsey better.
Kelsey. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think the name of her company is Historic Inc. or something like that. It's very simple. But she works with a woman who's basically retiring, who's been doing this for a very long time. And they're more reasonable than Rosen, and I feel like.
What do they charge you on your house?
For this particular project, I think it was like $7,250.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, for how much work that she's put into it, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to start investing in real estate, but you just don't have the time? You don't have the ability to get started, but you got the capital, right? And you want all of the advantages that the capital offers you. Well, I started a fund, and you can invest with me and my team. In fact, I'm in one of the buildings that I bought using my own money, but you could invest and actually get the benefits of investing with me and my team. Well, you got to be an accredited investor, and you've got to go to our website. I'll include the link in our bio, and you could start investing with us. It's super cool. We're going to do a lot of cool projects in Kansas City and around the country, and you'll be able to be a part of it. Now, let's go into the law side, because I think that's a great breakdown. And guys, if you are enjoying what Megan has to say, make sure you give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you share this video with a friend. And if you want to follow her on her journey, how do they do that?
You can check me out at meganduma.com. If I ever do anything that I want to get followed on, I'll put it there.
Okay, meganduma.com. All right, so going into, it's interesting, right before the show you were mentioning, we need to talk about the statute of frauds.
Yes. Okay, so I literally have this really sexy property that I had been working on. It was in probate. Okay, so I'm following up with a probate lawyer,
right.
And it's in the West Side in KCMO. It's 3 lots. It's right across from another property that I own. It's got a billboard. By the way, do you know how much freaking billboards make?
Yeah, it depends on where the location is, but they can make a lot of money.
Like, okay, so you know where I'm talking about. We're talking where I-35 comes downtown and it meets I-70.
Yeah, that's probably like $5,000-$10,000 a month.
A week.
Yeah, it could be a week.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I've talked to so Corey has a really good friend who works for Lamar.
Yeah, I talked to her once.
You did?
Yeah.
And I gave her the location and she like reverse engineered it for me based on other billboards in that location. She said minimum $3,000, maximum $7,000.
Let me give you a little hint on that. So
yeah, talk to me.
So the billboard game is, yeah, if you're going to buy that standalone location and you want that, you're going to pay that kind of money. Mm-hmm. But the way you buy billboards is you buy them in bulk and you say, I want your remnant billboards.
Okay.
Just like the way you buy advertising. And when you buy advertising, just like a billboard, a lot of these billboards that they're paying $5,000-$10,000 a month, they're not paying it because the guy hasn't renewed his contract and they're waiting to sell it to the next person.
Gotcha.
So like when I used to sell radio advertising, I'd sit there and my general managers would come up to me and say, hey, Troy, you need to get this. We want to sell it. The rate is this.
Yeah.
This is what you need to sell it for. And I'm like, that's really high. And how are people going to see results? Because we're selling it for $200, but we don't have it sold out. So why are we going to be able to charge $200 if we are running PSAs, which are public service announcements, for free
right
on the weekends? So I just was able to figure it out real quick and find out that if they don't sell the commercial and the TV time passes, then there's nothing for it. So when you're buying advertising, especially when you're buying media, billboards, anything like that, what you want to do is buy 2 things: remnants, and they're also called preemptibles. Okay, preemptible means that you could be bumped. Right? So when I go and buy, I'm running a TV commercial right now, mm-hmm. and what we do is we load up, and so we'll say, hey, we want rotators, and that rotator will run from 6A to 7P, and we want 15 per day, and then we want 5A to 5A, and we want 10 per day, but we can be bumped. So if there's a higher rate and they're selling out, then they can bump us. It's called a preemptible spot. Okay. Now, when you go to billboards like that and you're saying, hey, listen, I'm going to spend, and I would say the magic number is probably $10,000 or $15,000 a month because most people who are buying billboards are spending that amount. You're going to go and say, I want all of these billboards in all these locations, and I don't really care. I've got this location, and you need to throw in this. With advertising, you have the most ability to negotiate your flexibility with stuff. What happens is when you go and you pick all those things out, a lot of times they just don't resell it. So your billboard, they're not going to come and pay someone to take it down.
Right.
They're just going to, until they sell that next spot, they're going to keep it up there. So even though she reverse engineered and said, this is what the cost should be, she's wrong. Because if you went and spent that kind of money, chances are you could get something similar by just going and buying a large bulk platform and asking them to throw this in, throw that in, throw this in, because it doesn't cost them anything.
Okay, I love that this came up. It's super helpful for me in valuing what I'm fighting for here in this property, because we're getting into the statute of frauds, right?
Right.
So I had been working, this guy died that owned this property, and one of the neighbors called me and said, hey, Megan, this guy's dead. And I said, okay, cool. I didn't really know him, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's actually sometimes it's good news in real estate.
Well, and he was on the, we're not going to go there. Never mind.
God, that was going to be another one. He was on the what?
He was on a list that you don't want to be on.
I know what list.
Yeah, that's a bad list to be on.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of his lawyer and we talked for a year. Literally every week I would follow up. Hey, where are we at? I want to buy this lot. I want to buy this lot. I want to buy this lot. And finally the lawyer reaches out to me and he's like, we finally got probate settled because
right.
It was a cluster. It was a cluster, but anyways. And so I was like, awesome. And I was coming in at $350,000. The lot's probably worth a lot more than that. And
depends.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
That's the one with the billboard, and so we'll see. And so I felt like I was losing him, so I said, fuck it, what's my highest and best? I got a hold of Andrea. She's going to partner with me on the deal. And I said, okay, I emailed him and I said, $450,000. Let's do it. He said, in his email, he said, yes, period. I have the authority to accept this offer, period, with his legal, lawyer stuff underneath.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, awesome. So I poured myself a glass of wine that night, feeling pretty good, thinking I got this deal wrapped up.
It's in writing.
Yeah.
It's a meeting of the minds.
Exactly. The next day, I find out that the administrator of the estate, okay, the guy's brother, he marches himself down to some local realtor and signs an exclusive listing agreement with her the next day that doesn't keep my deal out of her 6% commission.
No.
Now, he has an obligation to the estate to make as much money as he can. He can't just randomly throw money away.
For sure.
So she calls me and is like leaves a message. No, she emailed me and I called her back and she didn't answer. And then later on that afternoon, all of a sudden, she has a signed contract for $460,000 and won't take backups.
Right.
Okay, so I sue everybody.
Yes.
I literally start suing people.
Sue
I'm like,
all.
you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit.
Yeah, right.
And that's the beauty about, honestly, if you can be a lawyer and a real estate investor, oftentimes the brains don't mesh because the lawyers are too lawyery and they're not creative enough.
Right.
So I'm happy that.
I'm telling you still got to take me on as a client.
Okay, maybe.
All right.
You're wearing me down.
Yeah.
It's like it would take 7 touches before you sell
I'm willing
somebody.
to go 40.
There we go. Jesus Christ. So anyways, I sue everybody. I sue the real estate agent because in Missouri, there's this thing called intentional interference with business expectancy, or
Tort.
It's a tort, intentional interference with contract.
Right.
She knew about my contract. She was not justified. She just wanted her 6% commission.
Right.
And she was afraid that with my contract that was valid, that she wouldn't get her 6% commission. And so she went ahead and tried to breach the contract by getting into this new contract. So she gets sued because she's working for a company and about to add her company to the suit. The administrator of the estate, the brother, he gets sued. I just sued everybody.
Right.
And I had to sue everybody because I couldn't show up in probate court and say, hey guys, my contract wins, unless I had a lawsuit pending.
You know, that's interesting. So in Nevada, you're able to go, like, this wouldn't have been an issue in Nevada. I kind of like this rule. So in Nevada, if you get a property under probate, you have to tell people, like, you have to go protect your bid at probate court because anybody could actually show up and overbid.
Yeah, you can't show up unless you're what's called an interested party.
Right.
So I tried to get a hold of another brother, but I think he passed away because I was trying to represent him and get him in there and just tell him what to do.
Right.
So I kept doing legal research. How do I get in? I'm not interested. Well, I'm interested if I have a claim against the estate, which I do now because I sued everybody.
Right. Now you're a creditor.
I'm a creditor.
Right.
Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
So
you sued everybody, and that's a nice power to have. Because,
hell yeah.
So let me go into one thing that I would tell people to do, and I know you may not have been able to do that. You actually probably could have done that, but one thing I tell all of my students, and if you're looking to learn about real estate, we'll include the link in that. We have a coaching program, but one thing I always tell my guys is if you get a deal and you know you have a fantastic deal, go record the document, the contract at the recorder's office. Now in Missouri and in Jackson County, you would actually need it to be notarized, but the reason we'll do that is that puts whoever on notice that you have an interest.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And I have not filed a lis pendens yet, and I absolutely should.
Oh, 1,000%.
I know, I'll do it today. I'm a little busy. I've got 10 Airbnbs, 4
I'm not
kids,
saying you're not.
Still breastfeeding a newborn.
Yeah, you talked about lactating on the mic, and I wasn't sure if that was going to actually happen. Comment below if you think she should.
Not today, Ray. Not today, Ray. Anyways, I'm busy is my point.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting about this case, and I just say I sue everybody, and I say it kind of in jest here with you because you're a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I take my obligation to the court extremely seriously.
Yeah, of
I would
course.
never file a flagrant lawsuit. I would never file one that I did not have. I won't even take clients that if they are lying to me or I catch them lying
Right.
or they're not doing what's right, I won't take them.
Megan, I would never lie to you.
No, but like, for example, my dad and my brother are criminal defense lawyers.
Right.
They have to represent people who have done reprehensible things.
Right, yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
and I won't.
Yes.
And so if you're even a little bit, if I think that you're a little bit shady, I'm not touching you.
Right.
You can walk. Because I like to have the reputation that if I do represent you, that I believe you, and that I've done this enough that the court, the other lawyers, they should believe me because I don't take crappy clients.
Right.
I don't have to. Okay, moving along. Do I win this case? So here's the question for the courts. The other side already filed motions to dismiss, saying that I don't have a contract. Okay, they said there's no statute of frauds because it's not.
Can you explain what the statute of frauds is for those of us who are neophytes?
Yeah, totally. It's actually really cool. I kind of geeked out on this the other day.
Yeah.
It was developed in England in the 1600s.
Right.
And here's why. If two people said that they agreed on something, then they just go to the local judge or the court or whatever, and it's my word versus yours. How do we have any proof who's telling the truth?
Right.
And oftentimes people would get screwed because whoever was more liked by the village or whatever would lose, and it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And so the statute of frauds says that something has to be in writing and signed, and it applies to certain things.
Right.
It applies to in the UCC. It applies to goods over $500, but most importantly for our purposes, it applies to real estate.
Right.
And so, as technology developed from there, what constituted in writing became, a telegraph, and that was a writing. And then courts recently have said that an email is a writing.
Right.
Now, what is a signature? A signature can be just the reason the signature is important is not to say, did you put your pen to paper? It's did it come from you?
Right.
Because it's a statute of frauds to stop people from defrauding people.
Right.
So did it come from you? If it came from your email address and your email address says Troy Kearns at the bottom of your email address, hell yeah, it came from you.
Right. Unless I got hacked.
Well, yeah, but and then you could that would be a way out.
Right.
You'd have to prove you got hacked.
Right. So unless you didn't get hacked, it came from you.
Exactly. And so now I have this email from the attorney for the estate saying yes. And then he is the attorney, and he says in his email, I have the authority to accept this offer, which is
Silver
important.
bullet.
Yeah, it really is a big deal.
So I won a case on this.
Yeah, tell me about your case.
So very similar situation. So I was hot to trot on a new property, and this was 2015, 14-ish. I don't remember exactly when. But I had been dealing with, I found the property. It was on Jones Boulevard in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I had never taken my commission and tried to get a deal. I always gave it to both sides to get the deal. Yeah. Right. And so I didn't represent myself. I went in there. It was a company, just in case I signed some sort of confidentiality agreement. I won't say who it is. But anyways, I went to the agent who was representing him, and I was like, they had a young guy on one side and the older broker on the other side. They're like, yes, we've got a deal. Yes, you've got the property. Because I told them, I'm like, yeah, I want it if we can get it. She says, yes, you got the deal. They went and had me, it's like, go back through the property real quick to make sure that you can do this, that, and the other thing. I went back to the property. I'm ready to leave on a flight. So I literally stopped by before I go to my flight, get in there, tell them, yeah, I want the property. She says, great, we have a deal. It's done. I'll send you the PSA as a formality on Monday, right? Or today or this weekend or whatever. Yeah. And so I get back, I'm calling them like, hey, I haven't got it. We land in like a Tuesday, my phone goes off and there's a message, hey, sorry, blah, 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 blah. We accepted another offer. And I was like, BS. I said, I'm coming down to your office. We're going to sort this thing out. Like, you're not going to work me out of a deal. Yeah. Why would you have done that when I'm not even representing myself. You're representing me, right? Right. So went and talked to my attorney, told him what happened. I went to them and she's like, she was one of those really bougie commercial agents. And she's like, well, you're a residential agent and da, 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 da. And I was like, listen, I know how deals work, and we have a meeting of the minds. You've put in writing that we have a deal. You've told me the hoops I've got to jump through. You then, we did everything. So I put a lis pendens on the property. Yeah. And then this is what happened. So we won the court case. The judge.
So what was the writing? Because you said she just said it. Did she send you anything?
She sent me something in an email saying we have a deal.
She did. Okay, I missed that part.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So she sent me an email saying we have a deal. I'll send the purchase and sale agreement the following day.
Gotcha.
Right, like everything's good. I'll just put it into a purchase and sale agreement. We have a deal. And so I said, okay, great, and then she's, that was after I did everything else. And so I contact my attorney, tell him, he's like, it's going to be a tough one, but I think I could win based on the statute of frauds. Mm-hmm. So he locks it up with a lis pendens. We throw a lis pendens on the property, and then their attorney comes after me, right? And I'm like, and then he comes to me and he's like, okay, would you buying this property settle this lawsuit? I said, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I want the property. They just wanted to make sure I wasn't like playing games. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I want the property. So then he finds out that she had actually wrote an addendum to a non-expiring addendum, so that the other person and she wrote it like after the fact or something like that.
Because she's so smart, because she's a commercial realtor.
Yeah, because she's shady.
Yeah.
Because she's shady. And so anyways, they ended up having to write me a settlement. But the funny thing about that was, during that whole period, I had told my other guy who had represented me on most commercial deals, and I said, I should have brought you in on this one. I'm like, yeah, I got this thing locked down. And we actually had somebody who was willing to pay us $200,000 for the rights to purchase that contract.
Oh, wow.
But because once we found out that, she didn't have the ability, because they were going to get in 2 lawsuits if they sold it to me, because the other person now has an addendum that doesn't expire. We actually just said, we'll take the settlement, we'll walk away. And I just negotiated it myself with the attorney, but that's how that one saw through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I really want this property, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think it's worth a lot more, but we'll see. You taught me something today about billboards, so that's really helpful.
Well, if they're basing their money on the billboard, it's really...
I asked her about occupancy, though, too, because I understand that, but I didn't understand what you explained about the rolling and being able to like fill in spots, and it's kind of like a lottery bid system.
Well, you would almost want to ask them for, like, what is your history of the cost on that billboard?
Of
and
course.
You would subpoena that during the discovery process, right?
100%, because it's my damages.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, okay, so let's transition into statute of fraud. So you obviously, if you have something, and I think this is going to happen eventually, where if you put it in writing in an email, and I would tell you that we always say, like, it's amazing what people think, like, oh, don't put that in writing, and they're thinking, like, with your actual pen. Don't put a nasty text message in writing. Don't put a nasty email in writing, and don't put anything in writing. And I'd argue these days, don't put anything on social media that you don't plan on somebody like, I know anytime I'm on this podcast that there's an attorney that's probably going to be going through my social media at some point in time and saying, well, on this day, you said, like, this film might actually come up at some point in time in the near future when I'm being deposed.
100%. And not only that, I always think, like, if a judge is going to read this, whatever it is, that email, that social media post, that text, a judge is going to read this. And I use that to my advantage all the time. I love being positive, and, like, especially when people are nasty.
Right.
So it almost pisses them off more if you're just like,
kill them with kindness.
oh, sweetheart.
Yeah. God bless you.
I know. God bless you. No, but I've done that recently. I've submitted emails that, I submitted a settlement offer, and the attorney's response back was like, thanks for the chuckle. I wouldn't hold my breath, sweetheart. I'm like, oh, that's going to the judge. The judge is going to love that.
That's funny that you say that. I really want to transition. This is one of the things that I think we've demonstrated this full circle, is that women are badasses in business, okay? And I want you guys to really listen to what I'm saying right now, because if you want to be successful, and this is in every success book that's out there that's any good, is especially one of my favorite ones, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He says, you need to surround yourself by some woman who wants you to be successful. And I know that you're partners with your husband right now. I know you're partners with your previous one. My wife has got the best out of me. I would not be where I'm at without having a high-powered woman. My mom was a go-getter, and I would tell you, arguably, we're the, I guess, lesser class when I think about who I want to hire to run certain things. I think I want to surround myself with women. Women are more organized. Women seem to be more driven.
I don't think at all that you guys...
Less emotional.
I don't think that you guys are all the lesser class. I'm not at all. And I'm a big...
I'm messing a little bit.
I know. But what I need to speak on that is because I'm not okay. I have sons.
Right.
And I'm not letting this world tell them that they're crap because they're men. They're not.
Right.
They are strong. They are courageous. They protect us. They should lead. And that's important. And
right.
the masculine role is important. And it is under attack today in the United States. And I'm not okay with it. The female is, like you said, incredibly powerful in her own right.
Right.
And she has so much power as a woman. It's remarkable.
Right.
I can get, by just using female traits, my
Right.
intuition,
Right.
A kind smile, a kind
Right.
touch.
Right.
I can open doors. I can move mountains.
Right.
I can get someone at City Hall to do something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Probably more so than me.
well, right, and I can use that power, and that's where I'm powerful.
Right.
But literally, I have a very strong, smart, capable engineer brain partner, and when it goes to like cutting a door in half or doing masonry work or replumbing or how to think how the process should go, he's much better at that than I am. And so it's a really good partnership. So yes, I think that every man needs a woman, but I also think that it behooves women to honor the masculinity. And I think it behooves our society to honor masculinity and femininity.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I tried to go, and I don't really care. Like, I am an all-inclusive type of a person. I don't really give a crap. I've noticed, and call it me, but I've noticed that the younger generation seems to be a way more effeminate than they were when I grew up.
Because of the attack on masculinity.
So why is that? What is the agenda there?
So I think the agenda is actually a pretty great agenda. You're seeing more, I talked about this with Chris actually recently, you're seeing more like narcissistic behaviors. You're seeing a lot of people that feel okay acting out of line, both in real life, but also on the socials. The socials allow you to be a dickhead or a bitch or whatever you want to call it,
right,
without getting bitch slapped or punched.
Right.
And so when you tell a man or society that, when someone is terrible to you, you can't just punch them knock them out, then they continue to be terrible to you. And what you're supposed to do is have space for them because they're feeling like they need to go to their little safe space in their corner. No, that's bullshit.
Right.
They're being an asshole. They need to get checked, and men need to check them. And that's kind of stopped. So I think it's like this whole, the feminization of our society is kind of to stop the warriors from protecting society.
So what do you think about Trump getting shut down off of social media? And what do you think his chances of winning this time around, because he has like almost no voice?
I mean, I think that we have a big First Amendment problem in the United States with respect to how these socials do interact with government so much.
Right.
Are they government? Are they not government? Government can't stop speech, but private companies can. So if we were to separate those and let the private companies be the private companies and the government not involved, then I got no problem with the private company telling someone they have to shut up.
Right.
I'm a big believer in the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Right.
That's fine. Now, I think that solutions will come. I think that there will be more forums that are free for all to speak. I mean, Elon Musk buying Twitter and saying, now we can have people saying more of whatever the hell they want.
What if Apple and Google take him off their platforms, though, because they don't agree with that?
Yeah, they're allowed to do that, but there will also be a counter movement to that. Just like Bitcoin was the counter movement to printing dollars.
Right.
And Bitcoin's success continues. I know it's down somewhat right now, but when you've been in it since 2012, like me, like, okay, it's down to 23,000. Who cares?
And what did you pay for it?
$12, I think.
$12-ish?
That was all the ones that got stolen. My basis is much higher and everything else.
That's cool. And you're still in crypto?
Yeah.
Do you recommend that people get into crypto?
I do.
Okay, cool.
I do.
So to kind of wrap things up, guys, first of all, if you've enjoyed Megan, and she's been, every time I talk to her, I'm like, man, we need to do another segment with Megan because she's so amazing. And she's got so much wisdom and so much tenacity and so much just care about the world and where we're going. And you're raising Geronimo Larry Johnson,
4.5 months old. And he's a sweet little boy.
And Bo.
And Bo, yeah. And then my stepson Salem lives with us full time, and my stepdaughter Henny part time. So sometimes we have 4 kids. Often we have 3 kids. We always have 2 kids.
How do you balance all that out?
Help. And help and family,
They got Uber sitters yet.
Right? No, I know. And when it's a 14-year-old, you need Uber for teens. It's like, he can't drive yet, but he's got to go everywhere, so it's rough.
It's funny. Eden finally, I told her 8 years ago, I'm like, you need to start ordering food, versus, when they first came out with it, I'm like, you need, you go into the grocery store, it's like a waste of time.
Totally.
And now, it's on Instacart, you pay $9 a month and everything gets delivered to you. She finally today, yesterday, she's like, I'm going to start doing this. And I'm like, I've been telling you for 5, 6, 7 years, But where do you think all these companies go? They just become warehouses? I mean, eventually, like Hy-Vee, the Costco's, people are going to stop going when it becomes so affordable to just bring it to your house.
Yeah, I mean, my problem is they won't bring me wine from Costco, so I still have to go.
Okay. But what happens when they figure out a way?
No, I know. I'm fine with warehousing. It'll just be a different kind of marketing. It will change.
Right.
Just like Amazon used to just sell books 1,000 years ago.
Right.
And now it's changed. It's okay. It's just changed.
What else do they sell?
What don't they sell?
What that is crazy. Just for the younger generation who just knows Amazon is everything. Mm-hmm. But for years and years and years, it was Amazon versus Barnes & Noble.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't Amazon versus everyone.
Who won?
Was jury still out? Barnes & Noble's on the comeback. And now Amazon arguably is bigger than Walmart, I would say. Even though Walmart has a bigger, they came late to the game. Yeah. Can they come back around? I think the platform is the thing that everybody, like, you go to Amazon, that platform is just learned, it's documented, and you're like, wow, this is great. Now, even if you want to support your local store, I'm sorry, but it's easier on Amazon.
Yeah, you got to have a really good reason, and I think that's where we're going to see the marketing kind of shift. So why would you go to your local store? There has to be something else, something that makes you feel good, a connection, a human connection. Right. And like, there's the guy there tells really great jokes, or there's a place that you can sit and talk with your wife in the corner by the fireplace that gets you out of the house and gives you that feeling of going out. It has to be something extra. It can't just be, we have the same product, buy my cookies because I'm local. It's not enough.
Right.
It's like, buy my cookies because I don't know. I've got a really cool experience for you to come have.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, like, you do go to the store and you do want to buy something. Like, I went shopping for shoes like 2 years ago at Foot Locker, and like, we don't have that in stock. We don't have that in stock. We don't have that in stock. We don't have that in stock.
Why am I here?
It's like, why am I freaking here? I thought this was going to be cool. I'd like try on some shoes. Or like, yeah, we don't carry anything in stock anymore.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ask for Megan Duma to come back. She's a wealth of wisdom. She's a lawyer. If they want to find you, where do they find you again?
MeganDuma.com.
No socials?
No, not really.
None. It's all private, and she's not sharing anything. And we want an update on what happens with this case. Totally appreciate it. We'll talk to you on the next one. Peace. Are you interested in investing in real estate, but you don't feel like you got the time to take a coaching program? I get it, right? You're busy, you're making money, and that's okay, but you want to invest with me because you're like, Troy, I like what you do. I see what you're doing. You're a real deal. Yes, I am. I'm an average Joe. I worked at Burger King. I worked at Red Robin. I started investing in real estate, and I started from absolutely nothing, and I will take you along with my journey, and you can get all the benefits, but you got to be an accredited investor. If you want to invest with me and you want to be a part of something great and you don't have the time, guess what? We're launching a fund that you can be a part of, but you got to be an accredited investor. And if you want to find out more about what that looks like, all you got to do is click the link and we'll show you exactly what that looks like. And guess what? If you're not an accredited investor, then you may down the road be an accredited investor. So definitely learn what that's all about, and we'll see you on the next one.